I've always been a person to wait until the very last second to start a project with a deadline. Didn't matter if it was school, work, or even just cleaning my room. If there was a deadline, I was going to procrastinate. For some people, this is a major problem, but not for me. I somehow always managed to get things done just before the clock ran out, and for years I thought I was just more efficient than other people, that I needed less time to complete a project, and that I worked well under pressure. What I didn't know is that this was secretly ruining my life. And if this sounds like you, there's a pretty good chance it's ruining your life too. Productive procrastination is what happens when you ignore your most important task, either subconsciously or on purpose, and instead do other easier tasks that make you feel like you're being productive. Not only can this trick you into think you're making progress on your goals, but because the actions you're procrastinating with are semi-productive, this can mask the problem entirely, leaving critical tasks to rot. The Pareto principle states that 80% of outcomes come from 20% of action. This means that the most vital and typically the most difficult tasks are the ones that will actually make a difference in your life. Productive procrastination is the act of ignoring these vital tasks. Here are a couple of the ways productive procrastination might be ruining your life. Failing goals is one of the most telling traits of productive procrastination. If you're consistently working hard and consistently not hitting your goals, there is a problem. Failing to achieve your goals typically happens because of one of these two reasons. 1, you have no clarity. 2, you are afraid. The formula for success is as follows: clarity plus path plus effort minus fear equals success. Productive procrastination preys on those who don't have clear goals and those who are too afraid to act on them. The first step to fighting productive procrastination is to gain clarity over what you want in life. How can you expect to know what you should be focusing on if you don't have clear goals to direct you? Without goals, you are constantly subject to distraction and procrastination. But if you know exactly what you want, the next step to getting it becomes clear. Confusion is exhausting, and if you live in a state of confusion, i.e. you have no goals, then you're always going to be struggling to find the next step. In this struggle to find the next step, productive procrastination thrives. But to set goals that give you the ability to see clearly, you have to know what's important to you and what you want in life. And if you don't know what those things are, even with the arsenal of goal-setting techniques I'm about to give you, you're not going to be able to craft a goal that you can really hold on to when shit gets hard. You need to know your why, and your why needs to be strong enough to get you through the work to the other side of success. And that's something I can't really help you with. If you don't know what's important to you or what your mission in life is, it's likely because you either haven't lived enough life to find it, or you're just not looking hard enough. Both of these things can be fixed by getting out of your comfort zone, trying new things, or deep personal reflection, possibly with the help of psychedelics. Either way, without doing the work to gain clarity over your why, the goals you set will always be lackluster and easier to abandon because they're not tied to a part of your identity. Do the work and find your purpose, but don't get caught in the trap of thinking you can't do anything without one. If you already have a vague understanding of what you want to do and where you want to go in life, try getting a little more specific. Instead of thinking about your dream as one massive blob of effort, break it down into actions, identities, and outcomes. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And what do you want to have? A good goal will typically overlap with all of these three categories because your actions, outcome, and identity are all aligned. Without this, you end up chasing goals for the sake of status, money, or jealousy. Let's say your goal is to become a doctor, but when you plug it in, this is what you get. I want to be a doctor, I want to have money and status, but I don't want to do medicine. This is an example of a bad goal. Not because they're chasing money or status. These things are actually not bad. It's a bad goal because they don't want to do the action that is the bedrock of the identity. Being a doctor is just the identity of someone who does medicine. Here's another example. I want to be a kindergarten teacher. I want to do work teaching children. I want to have $10 million. This goal is better because the core action and the identity are aligned, but the outcome is way off. If you want to succeed, get your actions, identity, and outcome aligned. And check out my ultimate guide to goal setting if you want to learn more about how to turn your dreams into action plans. But what if you do have goals? What if you know exactly what you should be doing, but you're still not doing it? Well, in this case, you're probably afraid. Avoidant behavior is actually just a fear response, and it makes perfect sense if you think about it. For the sake of our survival, our brains evolved to avoid things that are bad for you. The only issue is that these critical tasks that you're procrastinating aren't bad for you. They're actually really good for you. The fear of getting started, the fear of failure or inability to complete a task, fear of judgment or rejection, and straight up just fear of hard work and discomfort. These are all things that could actually be causing your procrastination. And if fear is causing you to avoid your most important tasks, there's two things you need to do. First step is understanding and overcoming the anxiety-avoidance cycle. Here's how the cycle goes. Fear and anxiety cause negative feelings, so you avoid the thing that causes those negative feelings. Avoiding it gives you a feeling of immediate relief, and your brain then learns to avoid things that make you anxious. The longer this pattern goes on, the more anxious you get, and the cycle of isolation and avoidance continues. And once you start seeing this pattern in your behavior, you can start fighting back and retraining your brain to conquer fear, seek discomfort, so you can grow and achieve your goals. I've personally suffered from severe anxiety since I was 12 years old. I've been to many therapists, I have learned meditation, and taken countless anti-anxiety medications. But the only thing that has genuinely helped my anxiety is breaking the cycle of avoidance. I'm 25 now, and I can genuinely say that over the last few years, I have cured myself of generalized anxiety disorder by using my anxiety as a signal. Instead of something to run from, I have turned my anxiety into something to run toward. This is called exposure therapy, and doing this for multiple years has basically muted all of the negative feelings that my anxiety used to give me, so I can go do the things that I actually want to do without feeling like it's holding me back. After breaking the anxiety avoidance cycle, the second thing you need to do is name your fears. Fear is scariest when fear is vague. I mean, how are you going to expect to kill Voldemort if you can't even say the guy's name? Naming your fears is like turning on a light switch in a dark room and realizing that monster in the corner is actually just a jacket hanging on a lamp. Here's how to name your fears. Think about your goal. Say in your head, I want to do X. Right after you say what you want to accomplish, you'll start hearing doubts pop up. That's too much work. I don't have the experience for that. People are gonna make fun of me. What if it doesn't work? This is your fear talking. And now that it's talking, write down what it says. To start, just write down every single fear you can think of related to accomplishing your goal. And the more you can write, the better. Then for each of those fears, write down what you could do to prevent it from happening. A lot of our fears come from lack of preparation, so even seeing this list will give you ideas on what you can do and what you shouldn't be afraid of. Next, for each of those fears, write down what you could do to repair the situation if those fears were to come true. This takes your big, scary monster of a goal and makes it very understandable. And the more you understand something, the less scared of it you are. And there's a free Notion template linked in the description if you want to follow along with this template yourself. But what if you do have clear goals and you're not afraid to go after them, but still somehow you're just not getting anywhere? Then you might be procrastinating without even knowing it, and it might not even feel like procrastination. You might just be overcommitted. And there are two ways this can happen. The first is that it's harder to finish an old project than it is to start a new one. And given the choice, which one do you think the productive procrastinator would choose? The more projects you pick up, the more semi-productive tasks you can distract yourself with, while the really important ones go from to do to didn't. It's pretty good, huh? To do to didn't. Yeah, that's not bad. Productive procrastinators also tend to have a very bad case of shiny object syndrome. This leads to shifting your focus to new or popular things, usually at the expense of what you're already working on. And I am very guilty of this. In an effort to simply grow my YouTube channel, I have productively procrastinated myself into building a skateboarding theme page on Instagram that sold environmentally sustainable clothing, becoming a professional drone pilot, writing threads on Twitter, creating an entire framework and website about goal setting, trying to build my own decentralized microgrid, trying to manufacture a cannabis-infused energy drink. Yes, really. And build an entire weekly newsletter that you should definitely sign up to at thejailbreak.io. Hashtag always be plugging. And somehow with all of this, I still had the time to wonder, why isn't my YouTube channel growing? If you want to actually achieve your goals, you need some level of sacrifice. And the sacrifice can come in the form of time or dreams. If you have more free time to dedicate to the thing you're trying to achieve, sacrifice that time to the goal. If you don't have more time, then all you do have is the things that you're currently doing and the things that you want to do. In this case, you need to start cutting out activities that don't benefit your goal. You spend 2 hours a day playing Xbox and don't have time to write your book or go to the gym? Cut the power cord and get a new one when you're finished. Sacrificing something for your goal doesn't just free up more time, it makes the goal more meaningful. Who's gonna be the person to hit the goal? The guy that's doing this just because? Or the guy that gave something up just so he could do this? One of those people seems a lot more serious. All right, so if you have clear goals, fear isn't holding you back, and you're not overcommitted, but you're still procrastinating, there's really only one thing that could be happening. And 9 out of 10 self-help bros agree that the #1 cause of procrastination is perfectionism. Perfectionism fuels productive procrastination by sticking non-essential tasks directly in between you and your goal. And depending on how much of a perfectionist you are, you could theoretically use this excuse to postpone completion of your task forever. I sure know I could. In the book Art and Fear, there's a story about a ceramics teacher who divides his class into 2 groups. One group's grade was decided by a single perfect piece of pottery. The other group was graded purely on the number of pieces they produced. And every single time, the group that was graded on quantity made higher quality pieces. If you do more, you will get better. Perfectionism is the enemy of done. Done is the engine of more, and more is the path to better. With these tips, you're ready to overcome productive procrastination and actually get things done. Like I said earlier, here's my video that covers the complete guide to setting goals. And if you liked this video, please drop a like because it really does help this still very small channel. And if you're interested in weekly articles about topics just like this, consider subscribing to my weekly newsletter, The Jailbreak, linked in the description. As always, safe travels, and I'll see you next week. Woo!